Hi friends, it's me, Mr. Wilson, and I'm here with your lessons for day 32 of e-learning. Today we're going to be working through 2 lessons because we have no IXL skills to go with them. So go ahead and rip out lesson 5, which is page 527 to, let's see here, 532. And then you're going to need lesson 6, which is page 533 to 538. So go ahead and rip out both of them. They go together, so we're going to work through both lessons today. So this first lesson is all about writing expressions. So the 4 main operations we know are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. An expression is a number or a combination of numbers and operations. An expression does not have an equal sign. So it's not a problem, it's not an equation, it's an expression. So an expression has no equal sign. Go ahead and underline that sentence because that is important for us to remember. No equal sign. So we're going to work through 3 example problems and then some guided practice, and then you'll be on your own. So, example 1, Alice invited 3 friends to play in her backyard. Write an expression to represent the total number of friends. So we see that when they use pictures, we have a yellow, which is Alice, and then a plus sign, and then she invited 3 friends to her to play in her backyard. So we have 3 friends that are red. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So notice that there's no equal sign. It doesn't say how many there are. It's just telling us to write an expression. So we have 1 plus blank. What is going to go in our blank? We have 1, which is our yellow, which is Alice. Now we need 3. We're writing a 3 because she invited 3 friends over. So when you're writing expressions, you can either draw pictures, use numbers, or use words. So down here it says blank plus 3. So what do we do? 1 plus 3, so we need to write the word 1. 1 plus 3, or blank more than 1. How many more did we add besides 1? We added 3. Okay, when you're writing in words, you don't use the actual numbers. You actually have to write out the word. So we had to write out 1 and we had to write out 3. Okay, so notice how we didn't solve anything. We just filled in the blanks with what filled in our expression. Okay, so example 2. 5 nails were hammered into the wood. 1 nail got bent. Write an expression to represent the number of good nails left. So we have our picture expression. We have 5 nails, 5 yellow circles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it says 1 bent, so they drew an X through it. So if it's bent, it's no longer good. So when we use numbers, we have 5 good hammers or nails minus how many nails bent? Do you remember? 1 of them. There's 1 X. So 5 minus 1. So when we use words, we have 5 minus, we're going to use the word 1. And then or blank less than 5. When we do these expressions using words, both of these are acceptable. You don't have to write both when we do problems later on. You can either do 5 minus 1 or 1 less than 5. Okay? They're just showing you multiple ways to do the expressions. So why don't we go ahead and flip it on over to page 528. And there's example 3. Okay. So example 3, it says Tracy bought 3 magnets. Scott has 2 times as many. Then Scott buys 1 more. Write an expression to represent the total number of magnets Scott has. Okay, so we're worried about how many Scott has. We're not worried about Tracy. Tracy just gives us some information to help with Scott's expression. So Tracy bought 3 magnets, and Scott has 2 times as many. So they have 3 magnets times 2, because he has twice as many. Okay, so 2 rows of 3. 3 and 3. Then he buys one more, so plus 1. One more magnet. So how many does he have? So we drew 2 sets of 3 for the 3 magnets from Tracy, and then he has double the amount. He has 2 times as many than our plus 1. So use numbers. What times 2 plus 1? How many times 2? How many groups of 2 do we have? We have 1 group of 2, 2 group of 2, 3 groups of 2. So 3 times 2 equal or plus 1. So when we're filling these in, now we don't have to fill in numbers, we're filling in the operation. So 2 times 3 plus 1. Or 2 groups of 3 plus 1 more. Okay? So remember, we learned that in this helpful hint, it says parentheses tell you what to do first. So if we were going to solve this, we would do our multiplication first because it's inside the parentheses. Okay, and then we would add 1. So later on, as we're writing equations and figuring them out, we will work with certain operations and expressions first before we'll do other operations. But that's for another lesson down the road. Okay, so let's go ahead and work through these guided practice. We have to model each expression with pictures, numbers, and words. So Jeff had 8 crayons. So we're gonna just make 8 circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He lost 5 of them. So we're gonna mark out 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So I drew my picture. Now I have to write it in numbers. He had 8 crowns and he lost 5 of them. So if he lost them, he doesn't have them anymore, so he subtracted. And then in words, you can write 8 minus 5 or 5 less than 8. Okay, it's up to you how you want to write that. Either one of those are acceptable. So that's how you do number 1. Number 2 is the same, but they've already drawn our picture for us. We just need to fill in our blanks on the numbers and the words. So it says a carpenter has 6 nails, so they have 6 circles. She went to the store to buy 3 more, so we plus 3. She used 2 nails, so we marked out 2 nails. Okay, so our picture, we had 6, we added 3, then we took 2 away. So 6 plus 3 minus 2, because she used 2 nails. So in our word form, we're going to write 6 plus, what did we write? 3 minus, our last number is 2. Okay. So when we move on to your independent practice, which is you have to do, this first set from 3 to 8, you are going to write the actual math problem, which you're going to do in all of these, but these are all going to be different. This all has to do with a certain problem. So this one, you have to read it and then write down the expression. So it says 4 more than 7. So we have 4 more than 7. We have 7 plus 4. More than tells us more, so add. Okay. The total of 5 rows of 6 chairs. Okay. So we have 5 rows of 6. So it's going to be 5 times 6. Okay. You can't even see that, but so this one, it says more than, so more tells us to add, so 7 plus 4. And then 5 rows of 6 chairs. So you know if we have 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 in each one, we're gonna end up multiplying them, okay? So 5 times 6. So then you're gonna do 5, 6, 7, 8 on your own. Numbers 9 through 13 have to do with 6 nails in the toolbox, and then write an expression based off of what the problem says. So it says there are 2 fewer nails. So 6 with 2 fewer nails. So 6 minus 2. Fewer means minus. Okay. 4 times as many nails. 6 times 4. Okay. So you'll figure out 11, 12, 13. And then write an expression for each. So we have the cost of 5 balls of glue, the number of nails for 90 cents. And then the cost of a spool of wire, tape measure, and a bottle of glue. So on number 16, you're gonna add. And then 14 is multiply, and 15 is divide. Now remember, there's no equal sign. So just write your expression, okay? And then remember, page 530 is always optional, the problem solving side. And then please try to do page 531 and 532 for your homework. They're pretty simple, self-explanatory, okay? So as we get ready to move on here, what we just did, remember, was writing expressions. Okay, we learned how to write them based off of what information we were given, okay? So now, as we evaluate expressions, that's lesson 6, okay? We are going to have symbols in them. We are not gonna have both numbers or all the numbers. We are going to have to fill in a letter to then eventually find later on in these equations, okay? So we should be on page 533 now. Page 533, it's a person with a ladder. Okay, and we're evaluating expressions. So we're moving just to the next step of writing expressions. We're now gonna write them with some variables, okay? So as we move on, let's get started and see what happens. So we have evaluate expressions. When a symbol such as a question mark and a box or a letter such as X or Y is used to stand for an unknown, it is called a variable. So a variable can be a question mark, a box, or a letter. So Y, X, etc. Okay? So those are all variables. So let's go ahead and dive in and see what we're talking about with these variables. So it says, Santiago unpacked 5 more boxes of light bulbs than boxes of flashlights. Write an expression using the variable of X for the unknown. So we have 5 plus X, because he unpacked 5 more boxes of light bulbs than boxes of flashlights. So we have 5 more boxes of light bulbs plus X. We don't know what X is. We don't know how many boxes of flashlights he unboxed. Okay, so that's why it's an X. When you find the value of an expression by replacing the variable with a number, you evaluate it. Okay? So evaluate is when you have your equal sign and you solve. Okay? But you can't evaluate until you have an equation. Okay, and right now we're just working with expressions. So, Example 2. A hardware store has 6 fewer stepladders than extension ladders. There are Y extension ladders. Write an expression using the variable Y, then evaluate it if Y equals 10. So when we have expressions and we have variables in them, normally they will give us this little piece of information that tells us Y equals 10, or the box equals 13, or 1, or 7, or whatever. They normally give you that piece of information to therefore sub in to the equation for the letter, or the box, or the question mark, okay? So our problem is Y minus 6 because we have 6 fewer step ladders than extension ladders. And the extension ladders are Y. So Y minus 6, because fewer means minus. Okay? So then we substitute 10 for the Y because Y equals 10. So 10 minus 6, we replace the Y with the 10. And then we just subtract. So 10 minus 6 is 4. So there are blank step ladders. There are 4 step ladders. Okay, I know it kind of seems a little confusing right now, but it'll make more sense as we dive into actual problems. Okay, so go ahead and turn the page to 534. So sometimes there's an expression and it has more than one operation. When there are no parentheses, multiply or divide in order from left to right. Then add or subtract in order from left to right. So when there's no parentheses, you're going to multiply or divide from left to right. After you do that, you're going to add or minus from left to right. So basically, you're going to do everything left to right unless you have parentheses. So we're going to learn what's called PEMDAS. This stands for Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally. So we're first, our P equals parentheses, which are the little parentheses. And then E is exponents, which we don't really need to worry about, but that's like where you have the number up, the little number up here. That's an exponent. And then we have multiply, divide, add, subtract. Okay, so those are the order that we do our things in. If there's no parentheses, you multiply, divide, left to right, and then add, subtract, left to right. Okay? So let's look at this equation because it's going to help us understand what to do when there's no parentheses. Okay? So Owen looked at a set of 4 pliers. His dad looked at a set that had S times as many pliers plus 3 more. If S equals 2, how many pliers were in the set Owen's dad looked at? Okay. So first we have to write the expression. So we have 3 plus, because I had 3 more. And then S times 4, because it said he had 4 pliers that had S times as many pliers. So S times 4. And then it tells us that S equals 2. So we have to replace S with 2. That's step 2. So now we have 3 plus 2 times 4. Okay, and then when there's no parentheses, you do multiplication or division first. So we have 2 times 4, which equals 8. And then you bring your 3 down. So then it says 3 plus 8. And then step 4 is to add or subtract in order from left to right. So 3 plus 8 equals 11. So if S equals 2, then 3 plus S times 4 equals 11. There were 11 pliers in the set. okay? And we'll get ready to use this more to where we actually have to plug in and it's not done for us. So that way we can actually have some hands-on and actually understand what we're doing. So this guided practice, it says, evaluate each expression if A equals 2 and B equals 5. So we see we have an A, a B, and an A. So when we fill out these problems, you're actually going to put in those numbers, either A equals 2 or B equals 5. So 3 plus A, well, A equals 2, so 3 plus 2, and that equals 5. So number 2 says 11 minus B. Well, we know B's 5, so 11 minus 5 equals 6. And then 3 is B times 4. B is 5, so 5 times 4 equals 20. And then this next one we have to do what we did up here on example 3, where you have to do your multiplication or division first and then add or subtract. So we have 12 divided by A equals 4. Well, A equals 2, so 12 divided by 2 plus 4. And then we do division first. So 12 divided by 2 is 6, plus, bring down our 4, 6 plus 4 equals 10. Okay. So as we move on, you are going to do the same thing on 5 through 10 that we just did on problems 1 through 4. Only Z is worth 7 and Y equals 20. Okay. And on number 5, you have to do parentheses first. Okay. And then on numbers 11 through 15, your value of G is worth 2. So you're going to match your problems together. So remember, parentheses go first, and then you multiply and divide, and then you add and subtract. And then 16 and 17, you have to circle yes or no to say whether the expression is evaluated correctly if n is 12. So you either circle yes or no based off of what you did. And then if you circled no, you have to explain why. Okay? And remember, in 536 is optional. And then please try to do 537 and 538. And remember, there are no IXLs today for your lessons because these were 2 pretty lengthy lessons. But I wanted to get them both in, especially since there were no IXLs. So there are no IXLs today, but go ahead and catch up on N5 through 8 if you have not accomplished those. Okay? I hope you guys have a fabulous day, and I will see you tomorrow with a new math lesson. Bye!